Well, I'm Julian Pellicano. I'm a conductor, and I've been living in Winnipeg for the past 9 years as an associate conductor with the Winnipeg Symphony and principal conductor with the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. But I conduct all manner of different types of concerts, a wide variety of different kinds of music. I'm originally from the US, from Long Island, New York, and it's a pleasure to be here to talk with you. And to be
Awesome.
actually, it's a pleasure to be conducting the Manitoba Chamber Orchestra for the first time next month.
Absolutely exciting. Yeah, looking forward to it. So could you start by telling us a little bit about what is the role of a conductor?
Sure. Yeah. Well, a conductor, in many respects, is responsible for the overall artistic direction of any performance with an orchestra or with a chamber orchestra or with a small ensemble of any kind that might need a conductor for whatever reason that is. And so conductor's job is to often choose what music is being performed, to deal with any kind of artistic questions that might come up before the music is going to be performed, and then also to direct all of the rehearsals, and then, of course, to perform with the musicians on stage in the performance. So, and lead the performance, although we're the only ones that don't make any sound, right? So we're leading this performance with through gesture and with our baton and with our face, or you don't have to use a baton, but with our hands and our gestures of our face and facial expressions. And so that's based in a very, very basic form, the conductor's job. Of course, it's much more complicated than that.
For sure. Okay, great. And what does a conductor need to do to prepare for a concert?
Well, once the music is chosen and you have the actual scores in front of you, so the score is the music that the orchestra will play, and a conductor's score. Of course, we have all of the lines of music on one page, so you can read them all at the same time. Our job is to learn that music, just as the musicians do, to analyze that music, to internalize that music, and to be able, in order to be able to perform it and to be able to rehearse. During this process, you create an interpretation, you create a concept of each piece that you're performing, and you really have to be able to hear the piece in your inner ear before you get in front of the orchestra, right? And that's the point at which when you have to listen to how the orchestra plays and then decide in your rehearsal whether what you're hearing is exactly what's in your inner ear. During the process, we also, learn about the composer. If it's a historical piece, if we're performing a piece from hundreds of years ago, we have to understand what music should sound like from that period, what else was happening at that period, what was going on in the composer's life during that moment, and political history during that moment sometimes, in order to create an interpretation on what does this music mean and how should it be performed to have the maximum impact on the listener.
Great. And you spoke a little bit about rehearsals. So as the MCO is rehearsing for the concert, are there any specific rehearsal techniques that you'll be using?
Well, I think every conductor has their own style and method for rehearsing, and of course it depends on the music and how much time there is available, right? This is a big part of it, because conductors, we live by the clock. But usually, as far as techniques are concerned, always think it's a good idea, especially with new pieces or pieces that an orchestra might not be familiar with, to let everyone play at first, just to get a sense. And the most important technique of all is not to talk too much, is to allow people to play as much as possible and to be as clear with the gestures so that people understand what you mean. And if you absolutely must stop and talk, then to try and make that as short as you possibly can, as succinct comment as you can, to really get to the root of what it is that needs to be changed and why, which is important for musicians to know why. Why is it that we're changing something, and how does everyone fit in together? And then overall, just have everyone play as much as possible for the time that we're on stage, because ultimately, I mean, I at some point before I was conducting, I was a player too. And there's nothing worse than having your instrument in front of you and you can't play it, right? Because
Yeah.
somebody's talking. So yeah, that's those. I suppose if I had any techniques, those would be it.
For sure. Okay, and what is score study?
So score study is a process that by which you learn the score, right? So and it's hard for it's different when you're a conductor than when you're an instrumentalist because there's a certain level of muscle memory on your instrument. So it means that you, if you repeat something enough times, you know, your muscles just end up just doing that, you know, naturally. With conducting, of course, it's a bit of a mental exercise unless you're a really good piano player, and then you know maybe some pianist conductors really can play through the scores, and then that's how they learn it. I don't know because I'm not. I wouldn't call myself a pianist by any means, although I do use a piano. But yeah, I think every conductor has develops over years and years their own technique for learning a score, and you learn from different teachers and other conductors when you're younger, and you know, and it evolves. I'd say that my process for learning a score evolves every year and changes. And I'd say if I went back 15 years ago, I would have what I would have done to learn a score is totally different than what I would do today. Um, but like I said, every conductor will have a different way of doing it.